all talk, no action. Now the reason why I labelled my section all talk, no action is because I, like some of you and probably those who are a bit more experienced, have tried time and time again, and I've heard so many different self-help, how to grow your business, how to make this great, how you can do it, feel the fire, feel the burn, run on hot coals, swim in the sea with a shark, pat it on the head and feed it with breadcrumbs. Like literally there's so many different formulas. But my problem is, and what I found, and there's a couple of really good business strategists that say this, is this. They said that most people don't take advice. It's simple. And we actually, this is something which kind of formulated for PIX100, because when I was sat with Leif, I said, how are we going to really drive this business forward, knowing that we are giving pro bono hours, knowing that we are going to commit to doing this for free, for 100 business, and not charge anyone for that space? How's it going to work? And Leif said two things to me. He said, one, he says, if you help a business grow, and then after a certain period, they actually see that what you're delivering works, then 9 out of 10 chances they may want to engage you for a commercial deal. 9 out of 10 chances they may think, actually, you know what, I want to retain your services because you're only giving me 2-3 hours a month. I need that every day or something like that. So that's one point. The second point he said is that it's great to give free content because 90% of the people won't follow your advice. And I said to myself, really? Because they're not going to follow it. They're going to listen to it. They're going to walk away from here and think, yeah, that was really clever, that was really smart. And then they're going to go back to doing exactly what they did previously. So the fundamental change is those of you who will listen to what you've heard today from professionals, from people who have been in the industry, whose job it is to help businesses on a day-to-day basis, and think to yourself, I'm going to break a habit, and I'm actually going to listen and apply what I've heard to what I'm doing now. So we're going to cover 7 points really quickly. I've been told by the Time Lord at the back, Mrs. Who, basically how long I've got in order to get this done. Now, what are you worth? Establish a value proposition. Now, it's very good what we've discussed previously before. One of the challenges that Leif and I face when it comes to sitting down in front of people with businesses is what they believe their offering is worth as opposed to what we can see it's worth. I do remember us sitting down with a certain individual who had a business in the, I will say, food sector, yes? And they had a certain belief based on what they felt their valuation was worth. And when you heard them speak, it was very passionate, it was very good, it was very lovely. And then the moment which many consultants happen is that you said, do you have a website? Yes, I just did it. Okay. And they type in www, the name, and they hit enter. And if you're in the space we're in, that first impression when it loads up, because this is their online profile, not everyone's going to meet them and know who they are, but this is the first impression I have. And when it loaded up, I always look at Leif. And when I looked at Leif kind of looked at me as if to say, like, where's the rest of the site? Like, it was kind of a look like, okay, is it still loaded? I'm like, no, the circle stopped spinning. This is all that's there. And what we thought to ourselves was like, wow, she really thinks this is a good brand. Yeah. And the sad, no, hold on, I'm not being mean. The sad thing is that it could very well be a good brand, but that impression, the value, what you are actually presenting your business to be, is already letting you down. And then the meeting went on to the different frustrations that person was finding. And what we could see very much is that people aren't walking through the door because it's like they're walking past your shop and thinking, no, I'm not eating there, and keeping it moving. So what you have to then realize to yourself is that in order for you to really understand what you're doing, know what you're worth, understand this is what I'm bringing to the table, this is my value proposition, and this is what's great. It's challenging when you're in industries which are very competitive or maybe saturated. I know we have some big financial services and payments and FX specialists here, and that industry is a saturated industry. When you go through the airport, how many different signs do you see which says change your money here, do this here, sending payments abroad? We can say, so how in that world are you going to separate your value proposition? Well, it comes down to one thing. Who would you rather deal with? If there are 3 FX people here, it's not going to be based, and they can all do price, and they all do the same job, it really is, do I like you, do I like you, or do I like you? That's what it boils down to. So when you convey your value proposition and you understand what it is that you have, then it makes it so important for you to present and deliver that way. Point number 2, he says, hello, are you there? I love this. I always picture someone, who's kind of the age-old term of being at the lawn and they're pouring lemonade, and the entrepreneurial child that decides to say, I'm going to sell lemonade for $2, and I'm gonna buy a new toy at the end of the summer, Mom. And I see that, and they pour in the lemonade, and it's like, who are the customers? And the customers are Mr. Jones walking by. Hey, Tommy, is that lemonade you're selling? Okay, I'll take a glass of that. And I like to see that analogy, and I hear people talk about it. But then, when we look at it very carefully, we love to, as business owners and entrepreneurs and so on, we love to assume we know who our customers are. We love to do that. There are about times when you you'll sit with a client and be like, okay, you're in the space of building space. Great idea, Tog, here. Tog, you walked in here. What were some of the examples that were given when you walked into this space? What did you think it was? You mentioned something. A hotel lounge. An airline lounge. Any other names you could give? When you walked in, was the first thing you thought, I'm in an office? No. But you see, this is the thing. Even though it is an office, what the office group have thought to themselves is that we want to disrupt what people's viewpoint will be of being here. Because the next time I host an event here, then I have an army of people. I'm saying an army because I'm multiplying you all by 10. I have an army of people who are going to be preaching the gospel about just how good this venue was. And it leaves that impact to have someone else. Just to be really clear, there is a what I would call a top 10 law firm based upstairs. And I was speaking to one of the managing partners, and I was like, you guys have a massive building near the Old Bailey, right in the middle of like Judges City, Lawyerville I call it, where everywhere you see there's a wig or someone drinking wine at 5 in the morning, they're lawyers. And so I was thinking, well, why have you come here? And he said, it's very simple. A client of ours was based here, and we've been trying to get them for a meeting. And every time they said, would you come to see me? And we came to see them. And then we asked them if we could use a meeting room, because our boardrooms were full. And we invited 5 clients in the week. And those 5 clients in the week that we've been trying to get, every time we told them that the meeting was at the Shard, they said they were coming. So they invested in a space which is costing them £180,000 a year. And they've put their interns in there. They're the happiest legal interns you've ever seen in your life. They run up and down the stairs. They take over the whole lobby when it comes to lunch. But the whole point is that they knew who their customers were and what their customers wanted. The customer didn't want to be over the river. The customer wanted to be here. Next one. Milestones. Define your key indicators. There is nothing worse than going into a business proposition or plan without knowing the stages of which success lies. You could be going and say, at what point do you think your business was successful? When I make £1 million. Okay, so you will deem yourself a failure until you make £1 million. Okay, jump off a bridge. No, have milestones. Our brains work in stages. Have baby steps when you're moving forward. Be very clear as to your business milestone from the advent of your business plan. As you heard with Stephen previously saying, if you come into a meeting asking for money and you can't show where the different milestones are when you're moving forward, why would I invest in you? I'm not going to hear on an endless ride where I don't know where the end of the line is. I need to understand where the stages are for this and where we can check and benchmark to see how good this is and how it moves forward. Next up, show me the money. Money. Cash. Wonga. Verify your revenue streams. It's always a challenge when someone has a business and they're doing what they like, but they wonder why they don't make money. And the sad thing is that business and enterprise is about making money. Now, there are many people who are doing things that they enjoy, but they should really change that thing from business to charity, because then they'll feel a lot better with what they're doing. Because they realize that actually there is no onus on me to earn money because I'm doing this just for the love of it. But once you decide to actually engage in something, you must clearly identify what is going to convert into money and how that applies to the work that I'm actually doing. So you have to identify your revenue streams. These are such key fundamentals to go in place, because if you do not take the time out to identify your revenue streams, you are the most expensive casualty or asset to your business. People can't afford, I remember this was an example. We had a client, they wanted a website being done, and I said and this was when we first started, and I said, Leif, you did a website. And then I actually said, pause, Leif, how much do you cost the business? I said, this is the most expensive website that's ever been made that we're charging. We're completely undervaluing the business. I said, right, we'll outsource it, and then we'll get someone else to do it and move it forward. Know your value to your business. If you say you're the 100 grand a year CEO, fine, take that 100 grand a year, divide it by 52, divide it by a further 4, divide it by 5 working days, and then divide that by 8 hours a day, work out your hourly rate, and then see if that you are covering that by what you're charging. That's how you know whether you're being honest and true to yourself as a business. Next up. Who are ya? That's what I thought of when I put that up there. I remember I went to a Tottenham match once. Oh my days. There was this guy called the Pirate, and he used to like stand in the corner. Is there any Tottenham fans here? Have you ever heard of the Pirate? Yeah. See, so you know what I'm talking about, right? He sits in the box and he basically takes one hand and bangs the whole stand for the entire match. And I'm like, how does he do this? Well, then I realized that there were 10 empty glasses of beer next to him. But I was like, if you do drink that much, you can bang your hand for that long for an entire match. But it was a case of like, you know, look at your competition. Stephen mentioned it. I don't have any competition. There's no one else that does what I do. You are lying to yourself. There's 2 reasons for this. One, you have picked something that makes no money, that people have tried and they don't want to do it anymore. Or 2, you have come up with something really clever, but you haven't quite worked out how to commercialize it. There is nothing better than speaking to competition. We spend most of our time speaking to other consultancies that have been here longer than us, that have done it more than us, and we try and learn. Poor John, when he met us, he sat there and it was like we leached into his brain and just started sucking out. And luckily for him, he actually enjoyed it. We actually found someone who enjoyed doing what we do more than we do. And we were like, wow, this is really cool. So you've got to find people who do what you do and are bigger than you and learn from them. People who don't want you to learn from them are insecure. There's enough business for everyone. Find someone who's doing exactly what you want to do and sit down with them and say, I need 10 minutes of your time. I'm planning on doing this. How did you find it? You've got nothing to lose. Next up. Muscle power. Focus on your strengths. I am guilty of what I called focusing on too many things. Just too many things. Stephen will tell you. Stephen, I've got an idea. Oh my gosh, it's him again. Yes, Fabian. What is it now? Yep, we're going to fly to the moon. Okay, right. How are we going to get there? On a paper plane. Okay, great. This is the problem. You have to settle yourself down. I really love Stephen because, not that he's a stand-up guy and his check just cleared 5 minutes ago, but it's the case where he convinced me in one project we had. He just said, let's just focus on this. And this is really interesting. We had a client, and the client says, I want to raise a certain amount of money. It was actually £50 million he wanted to raise for his business. And we sat down. It took us about 9 months, 10 months of sitting down and breaking down, planning, understanding, pitching, redesigning, coming up with different angles. And then we finally found someone who said, I tell you what, I've got not 50, I've got £100 million, but I'm going to start off with 20 million. That's the minimum amount that I can invest in. And we were like, okay, calm down, it's 20 million pounds, it's going to be good, it's going to be a good deal. But this guy, this investor was hard work. And when I mean hard work, there's another word I like to use, but I won't use it. Let's just say he was very hard work. And it came down to the final hurdle. We got a term sheet out. It was coming up to Christmas, loads of expenses. The commission would have been great on the deal. And it fell apart for one thing. The investor loved everything he saw in theory, loved the numbers, but he didn't like our client. He didn't like our client. So you need to focus on your strengths. Know what it is that you're presenting. Know what it is that you're good at and stick to your lane. The challenge we had with our client is our client wanted to do too many different things. And even though we were focusing on one, they kept trying to talk about 20 other different things. And funnily enough, that client then went on to, from our work, raise a considerable amount of money via another facility. Fortunately for them, it took in under 12 months, that facility was gone. So it just shows that the substance actually lasts. It doesn't matter what it is you can frill or drill it up. You may make that win now, but the substance will last if you invest in your foundation to make sure it's solid. Right.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Thank you, sir. I was trying to stop there so we get to see the thank you side. Never do a thank you side, but I'm not asking for money, so it's all right. You are what you pay for. Invest in talent. This is, for me, one of the most expensive lessons I've learned in business. In about 2009, 2010, some business partners and I were in a building across the water, which looks, they call it a gherkin, but it looks more like a bullet to me. I've never seen a gherkin that was actually that shape. But anyway, we were based there and we had set up an energy brokerage and it had done very well. We won the Chamber's Business of the Year awards. We were investing in green energy projects. We were partnering with the likes of Deutsche Bank. We were partnering with the likes of Societe Generale and different things. We had about 3 offices worldwide, about 40 to 45 members of staff. And in the peak, our business had turned over about 350 million euros in 1 year. Life was really good. The problem was that we invested in only friends and family. Not talent, friends and family. And if you've ever done business with friends and family, when the going is good, everyone is happy, really happy, loving it. You are the best person on the planet. You are like Santa 365 days a year. When the financial crisis came and there was a downturn, that all of a sudden I felt like I read red all the time because there were these little red dots on me at all times that used to be like beams coming through the window where everyone wanted to annihilate and take me out of the water. Invest, you get what you pay for. You don't have to be friends with who you work with, but you should respect them and respect the talent that they have. It's a challenging thing. Business isn't let's be friends. It isn't. It's more cutthroat than that. The bank is not scared to have given you a facility for however long and wanting to cut you off. They will do it. So be very clear. This thing called business and this thing called entrepreneurialism and this thing called progression and career progression, it is simply based on the fact that you have to, one, have the muscle for it, you have to have the endurance for it, and you have to be willing to do what most people aren't. Thanks.